It was the summer of 2019 when my best friend, Sarah, invited me to stay over at her friend Jacob's house. Nestled deep within the woods, the house had an air of mystery surrounding it. Eager for a thrilling adventure, I accepted the invitation, unaware of the terrifying ordeal that awaited me. We arrived at Jacob's house late in the evening. The old Victorian mansion stood tall and foreboding against the moonlit sky. The creaking of the porch swing echoed through the night as we stepped onto the wooden planks, apprehension settling in my gut. Jacob's father, Mr. Anderson, greeted us at the door. He was a middle-aged man with a thick mustache, glasses perched on his nose, and a mild grin that seemed to linger just a bit too long. Despite his friendly demeanor, there was something unsettling about him, a sense of unease that flickered in his eyes. After exchanging pleasantries, Jacob led us to a guest bedroom on the second floor. The room was dimly lit, adorned with antique furniture that seemed frozen in time. The musty scent of old books filled the air, heightening the eerie ambience of the house. Exhausted from our journey, I settled into the comfortable bed and succumbed to the embrace of sleep. But as the night wore on, I awoke to a strange sensation, a prickling awareness that I was being watched. My eyes fluttered open, and what I saw sent a surge of terror coursing through my veins. There, at the foot of the bed, stood Mr. Anderson. His silhouette was etched against the faint moonlight seeping through the curtains. His eyes, hidden behind his glasses, bore into my soul. His grin, fixed and unsettling, twisted his features in a way that made my skin crawl. Fear paralyzed my body, and I fought the urge to scream. I lay there, motionless, as panic surged through every fiber of my being. I could hear the soft rustling of his breath, a sinister symphony in the darkness. The room felt suffocating, and I clung to the hope that this was all just a nightmare. I forced myself to stay still, pretending to be deep in slumber. Every instinct screamed at me to flee, but I knew that any movement could invite unspeakable horrors. Sweat trickled down my forehead as I wrestled with my racing thoughts, desperate for the night to end. Time became a cruel tormentor, stretching each passing second into an eternity. The weight of his gaze pressed upon me, suffocating any semblance of comfort. The only sound that echoed through the room was the pounding of my heart, drowning out the whispers of the night. As the night wore on, a storm brewed outside, amplifying the palpable tension within the room. The distant thunder and flashes of lightning illuminated Mr. Anderson's face momentarily, revealing a twisted satisfaction hidden behind his mild grin. It sent shivers down my spine, fueling the primal instinct to survive. Finally, the first rays of dawn broke through the darkness, casting a soft glow across the room. The tension in the air lifted, and Mr. Anderson's presence dissipated, leaving behind only a haunting memory. With trembling legs, I gathered the strength to rise from the bed, my mind racing to comprehend the events that had unfolded. I ventured into Jacob's room, determined to share the harrowing experience with him, only to find him peacefully asleep, oblivious to the horrors that had transpired. Confusion and fear gripped me as I grappled with the reality of what I had witnessed. Had it all been a cruel figment of my imagination, or had I stumbled upon a dark secret? In the days that followed, I couldn't shake off the eerie encounter. The image of Mr. Anderson, watching us with his unsettling grin, haunted my thoughts. Before we continue, please subscribe, like, comment, and share. My name is Alex, and I'm about to share a bone-chilling experience that unfolded when I was just 12 years old. It was a Saturday evening when my friend Bobby's mother, Mrs. Johnson, granted me permission to spend the night at their house. Little did I know that this seemingly innocent sleepover would turn into a nightmarish ordeal that would haunt me for years to come. Excitement brimming within me, I eagerly stepped through the threshold of Bobby's home. The cozy ambience of their house welcomed me, and I couldn't wait for the night of fun and laughter ahead. However, I soon discovered the reason behind Bobby's mother's hesitation to let him spend the night elsewhere. As the night wore on, I found myself waking up in the darkness, an unquenchable thirst gnawing at my throat. Disoriented, I stumbled out of bed and made my way downstairs, mindful of not disturbing the household with unnecessary light. Little did I know that darkness held a sinister presence, lurking within the shadows of the house. Upon entering the kitchen, I flicked on the light switch, and what I saw froze me in my tracks. A man, enormous in size, stood at the far window, his body halfway inside the house. My heart pounded in my chest as his eyes met mine, a chilling gaze that pierced through my soul. Time seemed to slow down as fear consumed me. I knew I had to act swiftly, but terror rooted me to the spot. Without hesitation, I let out a blood-curdling scream and raced in the opposite direction, fleeing back upstairs to Bobby's mother's room. Desperation fueled my pounding on the door, my mind racing with thoughts of survival. "Bobby, awakened by the commotion, joined me in the hallway just as his mother swung open the door. Panic etched across our faces, we stumbled into the room, seeking refuge from the impending danger. Mrs. Johnson's eyes widened as she peered beyond us, her gaze fixed on the intruder making his way up the stairs. With steely resolve, she ushered us inside, swiftly securing the door. Fear mingled with determination as she dialed 911, her voice trembling but resolute. Aware of the imminent threat, she retrieved her firearm from the closet, ready to defend her son and me from the intruder's clutches. The man, undeterred by Mrs. Johnson's warning, relentlessly rattled the door, his intent clear. The room plunged into a state of sheer terror, our hearts pounding in unison. It was in that moment of desperation that Mrs. Johnson made a split-second decision, firing a single shot into the air. The sound reverberated through the house, shattering the silence of the night. The intruder, startled by the gunshot, recoiled and fled, disappearing into the shadows from whence he came. Relief washed over us as the danger dissipated, but the echoes of that harrowing encounter would forever remain etched in our memories. The sound of sirens grew nearer as the police arrived, their presence offering a sense of security amidst the chaos. Bobby's mother recounted the chilling events to the authorities, who sprang into action to track down the intruder. But for us, the scars of that night ran deep, a reminder that safety could be shattered in an instant. My name is Ethan, and I'm about to recount one of the most terrifying and traumatic experiences of my life. It was the year 2006, and I was invited to a birthday party at a classmate's house. Little did I know that this seemingly harmless invitation would plunge me into a nightmarish ordeal that would haunt me for years to come. As the festivities came to an end, my friend, James, locked the door behind the departing guests. Something about his demeanor had shifted, and a sense of unease crept over me. He retrieved a military-grade flashlight and a camera, his intentions veering into a disturbing and unexpected direction. Without warning, James began interrogating me, delving into the depths of my personal life with intrusive and uncomfortable questions. Each time I refused to answer, he lashed out, striking me with the merciless force of the flashlight. The blows rained down upon me, leaving behind painful bruises that matched the agony in my soul. To exacerbate my torment, James abruptly excused himself to relieve himself, locking the door on his way out. I found myself trapped within the confines of his room, isolated and imprisoned by his sadistic game. Panic coursed through my veins as I realized the gravity of my situation. Desperation washed over me as I scanned the room for any means of escape. My heart sank when I realized that I didn't have my cell phone. It was an era before smartphones had become commonplace, and I was without a lifeline to reach the outside world. However, James had a phone in the room, and with a glimmer of hope, I seized the opportunity. Fingers trembling, I dialed my home phone number and left a tearful, desperate voicemail, praying that my parents would listen and come to my rescue. Time stretched agonizingly as I clung to the faint hope that help would soon arrive. Each passing moment amplified the terror within me, and the weight of my vulnerability bore down upon my young shoulders. 3 excruciating hours passed before my mother listened to my voicemail and rushed to my aid. The relief that washed over me upon seeing her was immeasurable. I was a trembling mess, scared, bruised, and emotionally shattered. The trauma of that night etched itself deep into my psyche, leaving scars that would take years to heal. In the aftermath of that horrifying experience, my parents took swift action to ensure my safety. They reported the incident to the authorities, and James faced the consequences of his actions. However, the scars left behind, the emotional wounds and shattered trust, would take much longer to mend.